Happy New Year to all those who are viewing. Welcome to those who, this is your first time watching Book Club Corner, and welcome back to our faithful viewers all across the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago. If you're watching from wherever you are, we hope you had a wonderful ending to your 2023 and that you are having an amazing 2024 so far. This is the 10th day of January, and this is the first day of our season 2 of Book Club Corner, and I am Jewel Green. Every Wednesday we will be chatting with local authors about the literary arts, about their books, and about the publishing industry. And with us today we have an amazing author, a first-time author. She is a business professional, a blogger of spiritual literacy 101, and she also is a mother and wife. And this is her first book, and it's called What Do You Believe? And Josanne, thank you for being here with us. This is the lovely Josanne Rojas.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Thank you for being. Listen, when I saw her outfit today, I say, Josanne, great minds think alike. We're
Yes.
matching today, and so is the book cover. I love your book cover. We have to get into this color scheme that you've worked out for the book cover. Very unusual and very, very on point. I loved it. But before we get any further, guys, we know January people spend time setting themselves up for success, praying and fasting, shutting in, getting a cleanse, cleaning up their house, getting organized, getting their journals, writing all the resolutions. And it's no different on Book Club Corner. So I thought it was very apropos to bring Josanne and her book here today, What Do You Believe? This can be one of those books that you put into your arsenal for January as you get organized, whether it's physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And if you're doing that, you can be asking yourself some very existential questions. What do I believe? What am I looking for? What am I looking forward to and for my life? And this is a great book to have. You see how cute it is? It matching my outfit, guys. I really love it. Nice and small. You could put it in your handbag, suitcase, take it on a bus with you, in a maxi, taxi as you're traveling. Everywhere you're going, you can take this book with you. It is just the right size and weight. Josanne, you're a first-time author.
Yes, I am.
I feel like we should have confetti for first-time authors, celebrating you and the work that you have done. Talk to us about this process. How did this book come to be?
Okay, so it's a funny story. In 2021, at the beginning of the year, the Lord actually gave me the title for the book, What Do You Believe? Now, I've always been an author. It's inside of me. It's like a seed that was planted inside. I wrote basically my entire life. Writing poetry. There was a point where I wrote songs during my teenage years. And I always believed that at least my first book would have been something about my life, something thrilling, about all the adventures and all the mischief I gave. And the Lord told me that my first book would be called What Do You Believe? And when he gave me the title, I was really confused, like, I'm still working out what I believe, But I didn't pay it any mind throughout the year. Every time I think about the title, I'm like, I'm really not sure what I'm supposed to be writing here. And then 2021 was really hectic coming out of COVID. And still COVID was happening. And so December, it was approaching December. And I was like, Lord, it's December and I haven't written your book. And I said, you know what? Here's what. It was a really hectic year. You need to give me a little,
Ease me up a little bit.
Ease me up a little bit, right? And how about,
Yes.
but I commit myself to writing the book in 2022.
Right.
I got no response. And I said, well, I'll take that as a yes, right? But the same night, actually early the other morning, I started getting a dry cough. in my sleep, and COVID was still going around. So I said, where did dry cough come out, boy? But it was like an instant cough. And when I got up the morning, something told me when I went into the pharmacy, go and take a COVID test. And I did, and it was positive. And I was like, God again. And then he spoke to me. He didn't talk to me all the time, you know, when I was begging. He was like, now you have time to write your book because you're going to be on quarantine.
Yeah.
And so I actually finished my book in 21 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at that. All the inspiration was there, just there waiting.
Actually, it's like a seed.
Yes.
Yeah. So in 21 days, I mean, I'm in my room, locked up by myself. I have absolutely no excuse. And I got the book finished and completed. And so 2022 was really just a year of figuring out how to get it published.
Yes.
And so I went about doing that. Well, I self-published it because that's more of an easier journey.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's really how this book came about. Yeah.
You know, authors out there, this is a really important message. I have to stick a pin in it for a minute. Don't wait for something to happen for you to have to take the time to write that book that you've always wanted to write, right? You know, I don't have time to write. I'm so busy. I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, take your own sabbatical, right? Josanne, you had to catch COVID, right? And thankfully you were okay.
Yeah.
But guys, don't wait until something happens. You know, you're close to death. Somebody tell you you're sick. You're not feeling well. You know, let us take that time. Put aside some time this year. Make that a resolution. Put aside some time this year to start writing your book. And it doesn't have to be a big block of time, you know, I'm going to leave work for 3 months. It could literally be, you know, 2 days for the week. I am going to focus on writing my book. Let that be a resolution for your 2024. Okay, authors out there, I'm speaking directly to you, right? You're hearing me. I know you are. Let's get that done this year. But when I read your book, so the back of the book, because I start from the front. I had to read every single word. So when you dropped off my book, and guys, she wrote in my book. I think I picked up the wrong book, Josanne. Girl, I don't play, you know. She signed my book, guys. So I'm very particular. She signed my book, and when I got the book from you, Josanne, and I was like, she signed my book. I put my name in it and thing. I was real fussy, guys. So all I'm saying is that when I was reading the front cover, the back cover, and I saw because the book blurb, right, which is your book summary, guys, right? So an idea, a little brief snippet for people who want to buy a book. You put that to the back of your book, what the book is about, so they can see what it's about before they buy it. And in Josanne's book blurb, you have here that this book is a clarion call for those who identify as Christians. And I found it was very appropriate that in your book blurb you would identify your target audience, because a lot of times, apart from saying, you know, this book is for adults or young adults, a lot of people don't identify who the book may be for. So tell me, when you say Christians, does that mean that this book is only for, let us say, the Abrahamic monotheists, right? And when we say that, we're looking at those, you know, Christian, Catholic, Protestants, and so on. Who is this book really for when you say it's for Christians?
Okay. So the book is not related to any particular denomination, but it is for persons who identify Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. So that could be many denominations, right? But it really was intentional when I said that it's for Christians, and that could encompass Christians who actively practice their faith, and then, you know, there are Christians who don't actively practice their faith, because it is really geared towards confronting the Christian about their convictions and carrying them on a journey while reading to self-check themselves to see if, okay, I'm a Christian, does my life really line up to what God has said, or to what God has intended for the Christian to be? And so it's really for us to see whether we are Christians out of mere lip service, or if we are actively being that light that God has created us to be. Yeah.
I really love the title of your book, What Do We Believe? Because I feel like it's something that, as even though you identified your target audience as being Christian, it is a question that many of us ask ourselves,
Yeah.
right? It's an existential question, a philosophical question. What do I believe? And not just faith-wise, but what do I believe about myself?
Yeah.
Am I entitled, and do I deserve the best in life, right? My dreams and my goals, do I even deserve those,
Yeah.
right? And are those things something that I'm going to pursue? And you're talking about lining up whatever you believe with the way you're living.
Yeah.
And if you believe you're worth it, if you believe as an author, I have a story to tell, where is your book?
Yeah. Where's
Right.
the story?
You're right. Write that book. So authors, I'm at you all today. Is your life lining up with what you believe? You believe you have a story to tell, but you won't write that story.
Yeah.
Right? You believe you deserve the best in life, but you're accepting subpar, mediocre from yourself, right? We're not on anybody today, so don't come for me. Right? We're talking about dealing with yourself and your own life. And I like that, this is a great book for somebody who is going to have an intentional 2024.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? Looking at what do they believe. So I read, let me tell you, I was looking through the book, right? And you have one that says, practicing spiritual agriculture.
Yeah.
I say, Papa, I wonder what that was. I went in our chapter first, actually. And that's 105. And I was reading about it. And I want you to tell us, the listening, viewing audience, what did you mean by this chapter when you said practicing spiritual agriculture? What is that?
Okay. So I'm not going to give you too much because I want
Okay.
the viewers to buy the book and read it. But practicing spiritual agriculture, it's interesting because I often see us, even though we are human, I like to view us as trees. And because we have many similarities with trees, right? There's the law of sowing and reaping. And it's the same thing with us. The seeds that we are born with, we have to cultivate that seed. And so as a Christian, when we become a new creation, we get rid of that fallen seed, right? And we take on this seed of being a child of God, but it's something that we have to cultivate. We have to grow. We have to put the right, the water in it, rivers of living water. We have to put the sunlight. We have to grow ourselves so that we can become trees that bear the fruits of the Spirit. So it's not just about, as I said, saying that we are Christians, but is your life bearing the fruit of a Christian?
Yes.
Really and truly. So we have to put in what we want to get out. And it doesn't happen overnight.
Yes.
Yeah. So you see the seed start in darkness, that has to germinate, and then it has to grow. But how does it grow? Because you have pestilences, you have diseases, you have natural disasters, many things that could uproot us from good soil. So it's really about practicing good spiritual agriculture so we could stay on track with God.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break, but we're here with Josanne Rojas. She is the first-time author of the debut nonfiction faith-based book called What Do You Believe? It's an amazing read. Don't go away. We'll be back to talk to her about some more spiritual agriculturing. So if you're a farmer out there and you're wondering what's happening with your spiritual gifts and seeds, come back with us shortly. We'll see you in a few. And welcome back to those. This is your first time viewing Book Club Corner, and welcome back to our diehard, let me tell you, our fanatical fans of books and everything that deals with literature. Thank you for sticking with us and being back with us. And like every good farmer, because we were talking about spiritual agriculture, and like every good farmer and every good farm, you need water. you need moisture, right? You can't grow anything without water. And I always say, listen, anytime I'm hanging out and liming, I don't like a dry mouth lime, right? So I made sure that, we do on Book Club Corner, we sip wine. But for January, I said, as we get organized, as we recalibrate, I'm going to be doing coconut water for this entire month. It's my birth month. I'm born on January the 26th. Just an open invitation, to all those who want to bring the gifts. You could drop them off early. But on January 26th, I celebrate my birthday. And what I usually do is I do my fasting, my little clean out, the usual Caribbean things you do, right? To make sure you're good. So today, I have a lovely glass of coconut water. Josanne said she wanted sparkling water, right? And we're drinking, we're toasting. Cheers to you, Josanne. I'm having some coconut water today. So all those in the Caribbean, we know you like to do a nice little cleanse with the coconut water. Healthy living, healthy consumption. Let me tell you, this is good.
Shout out to my pastor.
Is he into these things?
She?
It's
an inside joke.
Okay. I hope, Pastor, I hope you're watching and I hope you caught the joke. But Josanne, before we get back into this book about spiritual agriculture and, putting work into bringing that seed forth. Because even as authors, sometimes you want to write a book, but you're not sure what to write, how to write. And I'm just putting it out there for authors. Don't forget that you can invest in yourself, invest in your gift as an author, and make sure that you understand how to write the best book that you can put forward. So you could take your time, invest in yourself, go on YouTube, right? The University of YouTube.
Yeah, and Google.
All right then, go on the Googler, right? And Google anything you want about writing, about your genre that you prefer, but how to get that book out there, right? And you mentioned that you're self-published.
Yeah.
Tell me, if you considered going the self-publishing route, like this is the only way I can go, or did you think about, the traditional publishing route, and what is happening with you today? Because we had a conversation, so tell us.
So I did look at the two routes, traditional and self-publishing, and for the first book, I realized that going traditional would have maybe been a rough ride. So, and because I guess I wanted to get the book published quickly, because this book was an assignment. It was a God-given assignment. So, I went the self-publishing route because it was more convenient and it was a bit more, it was easier, right? It was actually a very smooth process for me. I did hire a publishing consultant who lives abroad. She's originally from Trinidad, and she's also a book coach. So she did coach me in terms of the process of self-publishing. And because she's a consultant, she did assist in terms of getting an editor, somebody to format the book, and being able to upload it on Amazon and on Kindle and all these things. And so, that's the route that I took. I didn't want to try to figure out everything on my own in terms of, some people want to write the book and then you want to try to format it. You want to try now to figure out how to upload it and you're getting errors. No. I just wanted to write the book. Have someone who has the know-it-all in terms of how to get this book self-published. And I'm going to pay you and we get it done. So that's the route that I took. The only thing that I really had any part to play with was my colors, how I wanted the inside of the book to be, the front image. I did have my spiritual mother and friend. She did do the design, and I was very intentional about what I wanted as my image, and so she did design it for me, and then we gave it to the formatter and someone that created the entire image for the book itself. And so
Okay, wonderful. So for those out there wondering, what are talking about self-publishing tradition? What's that? Let me just explain quickly. So anytime you are paying someone or some persons, editors, cover artists, graphic artists, or if you are paying to publish a book, you are self-publishing. And if you are being paid to publish a book,
Yeah.
that's where we get into what we call the traditional way of publishing books, right? And when we say traditional, meaning that's how it was started, right? You would entreat a publishing house. They would see if they want your project, have a conversation, tell you, we don't like this, take out that, put in this, and you would have to do it. And then they would give you some money to publish a book.
Yeah.
But now the process is a lot different. So there's self-publishing where you can pay as you go along and get your book published, and you can do it just how you like. So nobody has to tell you take out.
Yes.
Right? Yes, your editor might come and
Yeah.
say, listen, this is not proper English, this isn't flowing.
Well, yeah.
But by and large, the book is your decision,
Your
and the way you want it, that's how they have to do it,
Yeah.
right?
I think that's the only concern you may have when you go traditional, because they may want to change certain things in your book, and you may
Yes.
feel like, but it's my book and this is what I want to see, and this is how I want it to look, and they may have a different view, and because they have the money, they will have more of the say.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, as I say a long time, those who pay call the tune, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you can't tell the DJ what to do. The DJs do his own thing. You know, I had a conversation with Lady Montano. She has a book out called King of Soca, and she was telling me same thing. She tried to get her book published, and they were telling her, "Oh, this has to come out and this," and she said, "No, I want my book just as I want
Yeah.
it. I'm doing it myself."
Yeah.
Right?
The only issue I think I ran into, and it was something similar with the editor, and you know, they are editing your book and they are changing up some of the what you're trying to say. And I'm like,
Yes.
that's not what I said. So I want what I said in my book, not what
Yes.
you think I'm trying to say. Like, what I said is what I said. And yeah, that was the only issue I had.
Yeah. So I do editing from time to time, whether it's an article or a book or whatever. And you know, I had one author, I was saying to them, I need to understand what you were trying to say. Because even though it's not flowing well, if I make changes to make it flow,
Yeah.
it may change the whole
It may change,
trajectory
yeah.
of what you're trying to say. And they were like, what do you mean? I said, I need to know what your voice is.
Yeah.
I need to know what are you saying, right? You may not be saying it the best way, but if I don't understand what you're trying to say, I could take everything, you know, I could take
Yeah.
the sweetness out of your juice.
Yes.
And when people drink it, you know, they're like, who is this?
Yeah.
So you as the author need to, one, understand your voice, understand what you want to say, the essence of it,
Yeah.
so that the editor and you can work together to make sure that story reflects who you are,
Yeah.
and reflects the story you want to tell, the way you want to tell it. And I really love that, you know, Josanne, how you said, you know, you told the editor, you know, what I said. Right?
Yeah.
I said what I said, as they say on social media, right? And I really love that you had the, you know, that gumption to tell them. Because sometimes people back down and be like, you know everything.
No.
Daddy knows best, so you go ahead. But no,
Yeah.
I like that. I looked at this book, and I don't know, what you all think, bibliophiles out there. I do have, you open the book and you break the spine, kind of, you want to flatten the inside. I don't like my book like that. I want my book looking fresh and new. So I opened this book, listen, very carefully. I always open my books and read my books. I don't dog edge my pages and all that. So bibliophiles out there, comment and tell me how you all read books. You all just broke open the book, right? Or you all just very daintily and nicely open the book and read it. Put in the comments for me, please. But Josanne, I noticed you have in your book some spaces for self-reflection.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives a bit of a workbook feel,
Yeah.
but still a book to read, right? To get information. Why did you decide to incorporate those areas for self-reflection in the book?
Because I want the reader that while they are reading, after every chapter, that they can quickly reflect on what they are reflecting on, and answered certain questions that I have pinpointed for them to answer.
Right.
So based on what I would have written in the chapter, they would now, answer certain questions. And they have the opportunity to write it one time. They don't have to go and look for paper, a journal. But it's really just to kind of prod them.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I listen, I love a good workbook, but let me tell you, first of all, I'm not writing in pen. I'm writing in pencil because I might need to erase this. I come back to this 2 years, I'm a different person, right? My answers may be different. So I would advise you all, if you're getting Josanne book, get a nice soft pencil, right? Don't get like a 3B, right? Or a 3HB pencil, a soft, so you could,
Yeah.
you wouldn't do too much impressions. Because if you're like me, you want your book to look pristine.
But
You
if
could
they
rub it
if they
off
are
and write back.
writers, they're gonna need an extra book because
You see?
yeah.
Do you have a journal to go with this book?
No, I'm working on that this year.
I can't wait. So people, you hear that she has a journal coming. Before we want to start to wrap up, you have 2 parts in this book that you want to read for us because we love to be read to.
Yes.
So tell me what page, because she didn't want to tell me earlier, and I said, fine, don't tell me. Let it
Well,
be
the
a secret.
first one is in page 108.
Okay, let's get
And
there.
it's in your favorite chapter, Practicing Spiritual Agriculture.
Okay, let's get to it.
So I'm going to read from Practicing Spiritual Agriculture. God wants us to know that we can only produce fruit of our own kind. We ought not to fight God's design. The longer the orange tree tries to be something he is not, the longer he will try bearing the wrong fruit in the wrong season. We must never forget that fruit is designed to be born in season. God always has a season of preparation and a season of harvest. Are you trying to bear fruit when you should be preparing? Are you ready for a harvest, or will your fruit fall to the ground to rot and waste?
Josanne, some gems here. Some gems here. My mother used to have this saying, figure out who you are and be that. Do that. Right? If you're a horse, be a horse. If you're a turtle, don't try to get with the horses, right? They'll just trample you and you'll never reach nowhere. So, figure out where your lane is. And that's what you're saying here, right? I love that.
Yeah.
Listen, you'll only produce a fruit after your kind. We ought not to fight God's design. The longer the orange tree tries to be something he is not, or she,
Yes.
the longer she will try bearing the wrong fruit in the wrong season. Well, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
The other
What else?
the other chapter, which is right after Practicing Spiritual Agriculture, it's chapter
Right.
9. It's called Soul Building for the Kingdom Warrior. And it reads, soul building is really about building and strengthening of one's character.
Right.
When you build your body, you show off how you look. But when you build your soul, you show off who you are. And if how I look is temporary and who I am is eternal, then I'd place more emphasis on the character from which I cannot escape.
That is a good one. But guys, she's not saying to forget, right? She not. That's not what Josanne is saying, right? Josanne is saying, I think I'm hearing, pay attention to your
Inner self.
inside,
Yeah.
the self that is going to be more permanent,
Yeah.
as much as, or even more.
Or even more than we pay attention to how
Even
we
more
look. We put so
so.
much emphasis on how we
Yes.
look on the outside of the cup, and the
Yes.
outside of the cup clean. But what about what inside the cup? Inside the cup dirty, inside the cup full. What happening inside the cup? So we need to place as much emphasis on what we putting in the cup and how
Yes.
clean inside the cup is.
As much emphasis as you, even
And I'm
more
saying
so.
not to take care of yourself. To take care of
Yes.
yourself, look nice, do all the
Alright
dandy
then,
things
'cause
we
you-
have to
you
do.
look- you look banging,
but
girl.
it needs to, well, inside and outside needs
has
to
to
match.
match.
Yeah, it has to
Yes.
match.
Sometimes you're going to people's yard, and listen, I'm not coming for anybody, right? But you're going to some people's yard, the yard looking lovely. You go in the house, it's in shambles, right? It's just that it doesn't match.
Yeah, it do
You
match.
thought it was going to be this, and when you look inside, it's something
Yeah, the
else.
maths not matching,
So,
according to the young people.
like that one, the math's not matching. They add it up at all. So, guys, what we're talking about here is some existential questions, some philosophical questions about introspection, retrospection,
Yeah.
right? And having some direction, some intention for what's happening with you for 2024. We're here with Josanne Rojas, and she's written a book called What Do You Believe? Spiritual Contemplations for One's Soul. It's an amazing book for the year, January, to get you started on the right track, sort out yourself. And if you are not into religiousness, don't worry. This will also have you thinking about, what do I believe about myself?
Yeah.
Who am I, and what do I want for myself for 2024 and for going forward in my life? Josanne, please tell us where we can get your book.
Okay, so you can get my book via Amazon. It's you can get hard copies. You can get it on Kindle. You can also get it locally by emailing me at josannerojas101@gmail.com, and you can call me or WhatsApp me on 729-5008.
Give us that number one more time.
729-5008, or email me at josannerojas101@gmail.com.
Thank you very much, Josanne. Thank you for being here with us. It was really lovely chatting with you.
Yes, it was.
Guys, thank you for tuning in with us today. First episode of our second season. We couldn't do it without you. And we are coming back to you next week when we chat with another local author called Natasha Coker, and she's going to be talking to us about her book. You can find us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, Book Club Corner. We're also on Facebook and on Instagram. If you all want to have a chat with us, if you want to tell me you're an author and you'd love to come have a seat with us and talk to the listening public in Trinidad and Tobago about your book and across the Caribbean, check me out on Facebook and YouTube and on Instagram, and let's chat. But for right now, we're out of time. We thank you for being here with us. Get this book. It's an easy, nice read, and it's easy to take around with you. And as you go along your way, don't forget that life is short. We've lost quite a few greats, right? And that is not to minimize the ones who haven't been named in the public that we've lost as well. But think about your life. Let's be intentional for 2024, and please be good to each other.